looking at TCU Gym inside the area in Walkerton, where tonight it's a Northern Indiana Conference clash. The unbeaten and fourth-ranked South Bend Washington Panthers have come a-calling on the Falcons of John Glenn on this edition of the TV 46 Game of the Week. And how you doing, everybody? With the Hall of Famer Bo Hutt, it's Chuck Freeby. Craig Heatherly is courtside. He'll join us in a moment. The Washington Panthers are on a roll. They're one of the state's best teams. They're undefeated. And we're not just talking about the girls. Ryan Varga's got a strong club this year on the boys' side.
Yeah, when you look at this boys' team, you look at this team being built over the last few years. They got a lot of kids that have a lot of varsity time. And it started a few years ago when they started to get some wins and believe in themselves. And last year, you saw them overcome that. And they've just added some pieces this year that have put them over the top.
Now, a program that had some wins last year and was ranked #1 at one time was John Glenn. Falcons' record not as good this year. We knew they were going to take a little bit of a step down, but Travis Hanna says things are not as bad as they seem.
Yeah, with this team, with Travis, what he likes to do is like to build teams. And with this team in particular, they lost a lot of seniors. They lost a lot of leadership. They have to have some young guys step up, know their role, earn that role, and then take that role over in order for them to proceed forward.
Craig Heatherly joins us courtside. Craig, let me put this into musical terms for you. Washington, Allegro. John Glenn, Largo. They like to slow it down. Which team has the easier chance of controlling the tempo tonight?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chuck. As a coach, you've got to just play to your strengths. It's, you know, how your team's built is how you should play. As a coach, you want to pull them back versus having to push them forward all the time. So the game's going to be won whether when things slow down for Washington, can they be patient offensively? And then when the game speeds up for John Glenn, can they conquer the chaos? So something's got to give.
Conquer the chaos. That sounds like what we try to do every week in this game. Thanks a lot, Craig. We've got a lot to talk about in the St. Joe County Police Department pregame show with our Jordan Automotive Keys to Win, and we'll do it next on the 46th Game of the Week.
This is the WHME TV 46 High School Basketball Game of the Week. Brought to you by Bill's Heating, Health Markets, Tony Letcher, St. Joseph County Police Department, Martin Supermarkets, Interra Credit Union, HealthLink, Jordan Automotive Group, TCU, Electrical Workers, Crown Trophy, St. Andrews Products, Imagineering Finishing Technologies, and the IHSAA.
This edition of the TV 46 High School Basketball Game of the Week being brought to you by the Jordan Automotive Group. Simple, easy, stress-free. Welcome back to TCU Gym inside the area as we get you ready for South Bend, Washington and John Glenn in this Northern Indiana Conference clash. Time now to look at our keys to win on the St. Joe County Police Department pregame show. And those keys to win are brought to you by the Jordan Automotive Group. For the Washington Panthers, they're led by Marcus Northern, the 6'2 senior. 20 points a game, 4.5 rebounds a game. He's been money from three-point range his fourth year as a varsity player, and he has really emerged as the leader on this team. But he gets help from one of the young ones in the area. In fact, perhaps the best of the freshmen in this area. Steven Reynolds is 6'4", the son of the Washington girls basketball coach, is averaging 14 points and 5 rebounds a game so far in his career. The keys to win for Ryan Varga and the Panthers.
The keys to win tonight for the 7-0 Panthers, they need to handle Hanna. Hanna, a 1,000-point scorer for these Falcons. They need to make sure they contain him at all times. Limit turnovers. One of the things they're really trying to work on to prepare themselves for that playoff run is to limit those turnovers and work the glass. They need to make sure they get in and get some offensive rebounds and get some putbacks. Ryan Varga in his 6th season with the Panthers.
Our defense. I think that's kind of been our MO for a long time, is our defense. We've been handing people with a high efficiency. Even last year, stopping teams with 59% efficiency, but our offense was down. So hopefully we can change that.
Can you explain that efficiency formula?
So how many stops we get in the game. So we base it on how many stops we get throughout the game in comparison to how many times the other team scores. And we're stopping teams at a pretty high rate. And normally you think if you could stop teams over 52, 54%, you'd win some games, but when you're only scoring at 30 and 29, obviously it's a problem.
So if you're going to play defense for Washington tonight, the one guy you got to find on the floor is Bryson Hanna. The 6'4" senior should be pretty easy to find. Biggest guy in the John Glenn uniform, and he's averaging 18 points and 7 rebounds a game playing for his daddy. He is a terrific baseball player, but at John Glenn, well, he is a 1,000-point scorer. In fact, 1,155 in his career. But he's got to get some help, and Joe Schrapp-Louis might be the guy to give it to him. 6'2" junior, averaging 11 points and 4 rebounds a game. He's had a couple games in double figures. Come along in his three-point shooting, and he leads the team with block shots and steals, something that'll be pertinent tonight, trying to slow down this Washington attack. The keys to win for the veteran Travis Hanna and the Falcons.
The keys to win tonight for the Falcons, they need to take away that lane penetration, the dribble drive, anything that Washington's going to do to try to get in those lanes, and they need to meet the press. They feel that Washington's going to press them tonight. They need to make sure they meet that and able to break it up, and then buddy up on the boards. Make sure they get inside and be a little physical. They know Glenn's going to be physical. They need to match that physicality as well. Here is Travis Hanna in his 24th season.
A lot. You know, the thing about Washington is, obviously, you can't give up points in transition. I mean, we can't turn the ball over for what we call touchdown turnovers, where we turn the ball over in the backcourt and we can't defend it. They get down and get transition layups and transition dunks. So, number one, we got to take care of the basketball. And number two, they're going to press us the whole game. And we can't come down and shoot the ball just because we're open. You know, we've got to understand that there's a reason you're open, and that's because they want you to shoot the ball quickly. And if you shoot the ball quickly, even if it goes in, we're playing at a pace that we can't play with these guys. So we've got to be very good in our shot selection. We've got to make sure that we're getting shots that we want and stay out of that trap of come down and fire the first thing we get because we're wide open.
Those have been the Jordan Automotive keys to win on the St. Joe County Police Department pregame show. The opening tip is next. You're watching the TV 46 High School Basketball Game of the Week. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you by Intera Credit Union. Excellence, integrity, and invested. They're announcing the starting lineups. We will too. Here's Bo Hunt.
Here's the South Bend, Washington Panthers starting lineups. The freshman, 6'4", Stephen Reynolds. Number 21, 6'2", senior Marcus Northern, averaging over 20 a game. Tyshawn Grundy, a 6'1", senior, averaging 4.5 a game, but leads the team in assists. Number 22. Number 23, Eric Nocentelli, the 6-foot senior transfer from Elkhart. And number 24, Terrence Reed, the 5'10" senior, averaging just under 10 a game. Head coached by Ryan Varga. And for the home team, the John Glenn Falcons on the scoreboard, coached by Travis Hanna. Chase Miller, the 5'10" junior. A lot of new names you're going to see out here compared to last year. Number 11, Joey Schrapp-Louis, the 6'2" junior, averaging just over 11 games. Leads the team with 6 block shots. Number 12, Ty Larkin, the 6-foot junior. And number 14, Bryson Hanna, the 6'4" senior, averaging just under 18 a game. Going to hear his name a lot tonight. And number 20, Joey Shu, the 6'4" junior. And there's your John Glenn Falcons.
The series history between these teams not that deep because they did not play until John Glenn came into the Northern Indiana Conference. Glenn leads the series 5-4 thanks to winning the last 4 meetings between the team in the last 2 years. First meeting was back in 2016. Last year, Glenn ousted Washington from the sectional 46-35. Oh yes, the Panthers remember that. The officials for tonight's game, Tim Holmes, Tim Mills, and John Van Wagner are working. IHSAA is always looking for more officials. You need to contact Jimmy Arnett from the St. Joe Valley Officials Association. Get your license and get in the game.
Here's a check on the uniforms tonight, brought to you by St. Andrew's Product, the home team. The John Glenn Falcons wearing the white jerseys and shorts, black numbers and letters, and red trim. The South Bend Washington Panthers, the visiting team, the black jersey and shorts, green numbers and letters, and gold trim. Tonight's opening tip is brought to you by John Glenn Athletic Department. And here to call the action, the Indiana Hall of Famer, Chuck Freebie.
Thank you, Bo. John Glenn going left to right on your screen. And we've got a good crowd on hand here at TCU Gym inside the area. Opening tip won by the John Glenn Falcons, who come in 1-4. Their only win came over Elkhart. Their losses to Plymouth, Clay, Riley, and Tippecanoe Valley. Washington opening up in a man-to-man. That's Ty Larkin, the point guard. Gets it over to Chase Miller. They were teammates in the secondary for John Barron during the football season. That's Joe Schrapp-Louis trying to go baseline. Kicked it outside, threw it away. Here comes Washington in transition. Reed will lay it up and in. And that's what Panthers do best, is turn turnovers into points. Terrence Reed, a 5'10 senior, averaging 11 points a game. Larkin being pressured right now by Eric Nocentelli. That's Bryson Hanna coming outside to try to get away from some double teams. Schrapp-Louis underneath for two. Joe Schrapp-Louis is 6'2 junior, averaging 11 points a game, ties this one at 2 apiece.
I think one of the things with Glenn, they're going to have to be unconventional on their offensive end with their normal routine. Maybe move Hanna out like you talked about and get Schrapp-Louis on the inside a little bit more.
Steven Reynolds for 3. That's off the mark, tipped out of bounds, and it will go to Glenn. Reynolds, the freshman, not shy about hoisting from three-point range. Now they'll talk it over, and I think the correct call is to give the ball to South Bend, Washington. It appeared from here that John Glenn tapped it out.
Yeah, it looked like there was 2 Glenn players next to a Washington. It looked like it definitely was off one of the Glenn players.
Travis Hanna trying to lobby for the call, to no avail. So Washington comes in with a record of 7-0. They're ranked number 4 in Class 3A. Their best win was over Lake Central in the opening game of the season. Eric Nocentelli, the transfer from Elkhart, over to Steven Reynolds. Nocentelli, pretty good three-point shooter. That's Marcus Northern, leading scorer on the team. And you see this 3-2 zone of Glenn seems to have befuddled Washington a little bit. Tyshawn Grundy in a double team inside, all pretty pass to Terrence Reed, but he trapped.
Yeah, just great defense by Glenn. We were concerned if they were going to go man-to-man tonight or if they were going to go with the zone. And with the zone, you can get beat from the outside, but as of right now, they're really pushing that zone outward to defend that three-point line.
Double team in the trap, and we've got an over and back violation as Bryson Hanna touched the ball before the steal. So Glenn commits its second turnover, and Washington will get the ball. Talked to Travis Hanna during the week, and you and I have both known Travis for a while. He loves to play man-to-man. He said, I hate doing this, but we're going to have to go zone against these guys. Marcus Northern might be able to shoot him out of it, though. He is hitting 52% from three-point range this season, and just up the numbers there to give Washington the lead. Larkin being guarded by Nocentelli. That'll be a matchup to watch most of the night. Schrapp-Louis to Chase Miller. Now Larkin. Interesting that they have Tyshawn Grundy guarding Bryson Hanna. That's a couple of big dudes there. Hanna dumps it down low to Joey Shue. Chase Miller now handles it up top. And Washington just relentless with its man-to-man pressure. Shue is outside, now came to the foul line. Schrapp-Louis, nice dump down for Hanna, and he pivots in for two. That was good ball movement by the Falcons.
Yeah, great ball movement. Once you get it inside to Bryson Hanna, he has great post moves.
Reynolds wastes no time hoisting the three, and the rebound comes to Glenn. Falcons looking to take their first lead of the night. Hanna outside. Boy, Grundy is in his grill.
Two very physical players that you're going to see battling each other inside with a lot of body movement.
Larkin found Chase Miller on the baseline. Miller to Joey Shue. Hanna, they wanted double on him. He got positioned down on the block, and that's easy money. Glenn has the lead, up 6-5 midway through the first.
That's the hardest thing about maybe trying to move him outside is he's just so well of a player inside.
I mean, he's a living embodiment of the Mikan drill. Here's Nocentelli trying to go baseline. Marcus Northern now with the right-hand drive. The shot might have been deflected on the way up, and Hannah collects the loose change underneath. Washington just 2 of 5 in the early going. It's a team that typically shoots 50% from the field.
Glenn very happy with this pace, this kind of pace they want to play. Slow it down, work the ball, take 30 to 45 seconds each time on their offensive set, and get a good shot at the basket.
Well, we talked at the beginning of the broadcast about controlling the tempo. The Falcons have done that so far with this 3-2 zone. Schrapp-Louis being guarded by Northern. The count is on. Larkin came over to bail him out, and then Northern reached in. That's the first on Marcus Northern.
Yeah, here to protect and serve our community. St. Joe County Police Department is hiring immediately. Employment opportunities for high school graduates are available, and they offer a host of benefits and a true family environment on their team. Learn more at sjcindiana.com/employment.
Got a good look at the crowd inside the area tonight. We've got a moving screen on Chase Miller. Third turnover for John Glenn. There you see Ryan Varga in his 6th year as the head coach at Washington. Former assistant to Chad Johnston, who's now at Adams. Ryan, man, does he have a South Bend basketball pedigree. We'll talk about that as the night goes on. It is a steal by Miller. But the Falcons in no hurry to push it up the floor. Larkin working on Terrence Reed. Larkin got a step on him, and the floater's good. Glenn is 4 for 4 from the field in the early going. 8-5 Falcons. Ryan Varga wants his team to pick up the pace a little bit. Reynolds can't get anything to fall, and the rebound collected by Glenn.
Glenn taking very high percentage shots, which I really like what they're doing with that. Moving that ball, getting that high percentage shot is important for them to stay in this game.
They've worked it down to almost the 2-minute mark of quarter number 1. They have a 3-point lead. Travis Hannah was adamant early in the week. Tonight, we're better than our record would tell you. He likes this group. He finds them very coachable. Schrapp-Louis, though, with the 4th turnover of the quarter for John Glenn. Reynolds in trouble, found Northern. He'll go baseline and throw it away. And everybody on the Glenn bench says, no, 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 don't run. Larkin, there's Big Bryson again for 2. Timeout, Washington. Bryson Hannah has 6. That's more than the Panthers have. 1:23 to go first quarter, and Glenn is doubling up Washington. 10-5 on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week is being brought to you by Bill's Heating, keeping families and businesses comfortable since 1951. They're a little bit rough in this game tonight, Mr. Hunt.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things when you're talking about this game. You got the crowd going in it. Bryce Hannah on the inside, just his ability to move the body and have the ball control and finish at the basket. He's just a finisher at that basket.
Travis Hannah, his dad, has to be pleased with what he's seen so far. 16 years here at Glenn, 24 overall. He was a state champion at Oregon Davis, and he's had the thrill of coaching his son over the last 4 years. Bryson, you'll hear him at halftime, our Tony Letcher Health Market student athlete. Wasn't always a thrill for him, but for Dad it was.
Yeah, I think I'm learning that as a coach as well. I mean, it's such a thrill to coach your sons and stuff like that. It's not always a thrill for them, because as a coach, you're usually a little bit harder on your sons than you are on other ones. But you learn how to manage that as a coach, and you learn how to deal with that. And Travis has learned how to deal with that really well.
Steven Reynolds, the freshman, in the corner. Scoop pass to Terrence Reed. He goes around Hannah for 2. Reed with 4 in the early going. Here's that full court pressure from Washington. So far, John Glenn has been pretty solid against it. Chase Miller backs it out. And we'll see if Glenn tries to hold for the last shot here with 47 seconds left in the stanza. They're really bringing Bryson Hanna outside tonight, taking advantage of the fact that not only is he a bull in a china shop inside as Miller travels here, but typically Hanna's a pretty good handler of the ball.
Yeah, and you'll see that on the press as well. He's one of the main handlers of the ball as the ball's coming up the floor. We like to keep that in his hands.
Now let's see if Washington tries to hold for the last shot. Nope, that's not in their DNA. Reynolds misses, and Hanna gets another rebound. John Glenn dominating the boards here in the early going. Travis Hanna wants to run something from the elbow. See the clock, right-hand corner of your screen. Larkin into the lane, got it to go! What a quarter for the John Glenn Falcons. They went 6 of 6. Ty Larkin limping off the court as we have played through 8 minutes here at the Aerie. And while Marcus Northern rang up a 3, Bryson Hanna was busy down low. John Glenn leads at 12-7 after 1 on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you by the St. Joseph County Police Department. Join the team and help protect and serve our community. Time for our first Bills Heating courtside report of the night. Craig Heatherly, your thoughts on the first 8 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, advantage John Glenn to start the game. They're really slowing Washington down. I'd like to see Washington in the half court get the ball to the corners, get the ball inside. It's going around the perimeter too much. Those are tough shots to make. But on the other end, John Glenn's having success getting the ball inside because Washington is so extended on offensive players on the perimeter. They're getting passes over the top because there's no help on the backside.
Craig, you may recall we had a game over at Bethel where the coaches talked about paint touches. Haven't been a lot of paint touches for Washington, and maybe if they can do what you're talking about, kick it in, kick it back out, that opens up the 3. 5-point lead for Glenn as we start the second quarter. Steven Reynolds, now Marcus Northern. They look for holes in the zone. There they got it inside the zone, kicked it back out, but the pass was a little sloppy. Tyshawn Grundy, there's Reed, and he has the pass deflected, but taken right back by Washington. Northern can't get it to go, and the rebound to Joey Shue.
Great job of boxing out by Glenn on that second chance points there. Really good of getting bodies on people.
Glenn is up 5-1 on the rebounding category. The one was a ball that went out of bounds. Meanwhile, this is the problem for Glenn when they try to handle it outside. They panic a little bit, a double dribble by Shue, and the 6th turnover for the Falcons.
Tonight's health tip is brought to you by HealthLink. Everyone knows you can't play or learn if you don't feel your best. If your child isn't feeling well, schedule a sick visit at HealthLink. HealthLink offers medical, dental, vision, and more regardless of your ability to pay.
Ty Larkin still trying to nurse that ankle over behind the Glenn bench. Noah Dreibelbis has checked in for him. Northern felt like he was fouled. No call. Nocentelli got the rebound. Ball being kicked around. Here's Northern again over Hanna. It won't go. John Glenn doing a great job defensively. They've held Washington to 3 of 11 shooting so far. Shrap Louis gets it over to Chase Miller. Miller looking for somebody. Tough for people to get open. Washington has been persistent with his man-to-man defense, doubling Hanna down in the post now. Shrap Louis goes over Reed. Glenn has no problem being patient.
Yeah, you see Washington's dropped another player down. The help side is really playing weak side help on Hannah, very double teaming him up every single time he gets that ball.
Dreibelbiss down on the baseline, had it blocked and out of bounds. Not sure the ball ever got out of his hand, though. We'll see if they credit that as a shot or not as Larkin comes back in for Shrap Louis. Good to see Ty Larkin's ankle is good enough that he can come back into the game. Larkin gets it over to Miller for three. Ring it up. Chase Miller with his first three-pointer of the night, his 7th of the season. And John Glenn leads the number 4 team in 3A by 8. Tyshawn Grundy says he had a good look, but can't get it to go. Alternating possession. And that'll go to Glenn. Here's another look on the 46 replay.
Washington's been getting the ball inside here to start the second quarter. They just haven't been able to knock those buckets down, and Hannah's been a big factor in that. He just gets his body in there and kind of throws them off a little bit.
Now Miller with the layup as they beat the press. 8 out of 8. A 10-point Glenn lead. Nocentelli for three, ring it up. Well, if they can get him hot, Washington can get back in this game in a hurry. Eric Nocentelli is 13 of 25 from three-point range this season.
But not only that, they're 44% as a team on the year, which is unbelievable in high school basketball.
Miller finds Hannah in the corner, and that ball got poked into the Washington bench. Ryan Varga trying to show his team the intensity they need to play with defensively. Gotta have Chase Miller tuck his shirt in over there. One of the things that the officials keep an eye out for. Dreibelbiss looks to trigger the inbound to Hannah. Give and go to Dreibelbiss. Couldn't hit the layup. Here comes Washington the other way. Northern foul line. Pura. Marcus Northern now with 5. And the Panthers starting to heat up.
Really
5
trying,
quick points.
Yeah, they're really trying to pick the pace of this game up and really trying to get up the floor. The thing is, in order to pick it up in their game, it's their press that usually picks that up. But Glenn's done a great job of handling that press.
Ryan Varga was very adamant before the game that the success of this Washington team, while they score a lot of points, it's built around their defense. And the defense, even though Glenn's got 17 on the board here, it has given Glenn fits here tonight. Ty Larkin zips it on down to Dreibelbiss for 2. Noah Dreibelbiss with his first basket of the contest. He averages 8 points a game. At the other end, Reed can't hit the runner, and the rebound to Hannah. Larkin back to Dreibelbiss for 2.
Dreibelbiss with a big spark to this Glenn offense coming off the bench.
Glenn gets the lead back up to 9. Grundy outside, cross court, Nocentelli for 3. Looked good going up, but it wouldn't go. And Glenn continues to own the boards. Here's Chase Miller looking for help. Dreibelbiss to Shu. Back up top. 2:25 to go first half. Coming up at halftime, our Tony Letcher Health Market Student Athletes of the Week. Shu tried to back down Nocentelli. Instead, Hannah got loose on the post. Goes up strong, can't get it to go. And Washington gets the carom. A rare miss for Glenn here in the first half. Nocentelli for 3. That's offline. And it is one and done for Washington on the offensive end.
Yeah, and that's just been the forte of them for this game, with Glenn just getting bodies on everybody. Anytime that ball goes up, they find that body and do not give second chance points.
Miller, he's being guarded closely by Devin DeVries. Shoe hit the cutting Larkin, but Larkin was fouled.
The John Glenn Athletic Department wishes the Falcons basketball team a great game. The John Glenn basketball team is full of players and coaches that embody integrity and preference of players at the athletic department and school. Would like to wish all the John Glenn Athletics success in the new year, both in the classroom and on the court. Remember, once a Falcon, always a Falcon.
Second foul on Marcus Northern, but he remains in the game. Meanwhile, for South Bend, Washington, Gabriel Bergen checking into the lineup, as is Stephen Reynolds. And we see our first appearance of the night for Jarrell Ritchie, a 6'1" senior. Minute 34 to go, first half. Here's Larkin outside. Hannah down low. Hook shot. 8 now for Bryson Hannah. And the lead as big as it's been all night for John Glenn at 11. We told you they've won 4 straight in this series. Reynolds inside the foul line. It won't go. And another rebound for Glenn. 5 of 18 from the field for Washington so far.
Yeah, that's one of the things coming in. They've just shot so well, and they're getting good looks. They're just not knocking them down.
Steal by Marcus Northern, but he couldn't control it, and Glenn will get the ball back with 36.9.
Imagineering Finishing Technologies brand is globally known as a knowledge source for metal finishing. Like the teams in this game, Imagineering is always working toward a great finish. IFT is proud to support all student athletes.
Travis Hannah with a masterful game plan coming into this one. And his team has executed beautifully here in the first half. Joe Schrapp-Louis. Hannah way over in the corner, and he's fouled by Gabriel Bergen. Only the 3rd foul on Washington.
Only 4 fouls total in the game. It's been a very clean game. There's just been a lot of missed shots on the Washington end. They're trying to get up and down the floor. And Glenn's just owning the game. They're setting the tempo. They're setting the pace.
Bergen's having a hard time with the big body of Bryson Hannah and quickly picks up his 2nd foul.
That's something you see Tyshawn Grundy is coming, getting ready to check back in. He needed a little bit of break there.
You can understand if you look at the roster, you say, okay, Gabriel Bergen's 6'7". He should be able to handle that. Bryson Hannah is not only tall, he's thick. And Joey Shoe is on the board. His first basket of the first half. What an incredible shooting half by John Glenn. Northern turns it over. Glenn has one last chance. Bryson Hannah gonna try to load it up. Northern stole it away, but couldn't beat the buzzer. That basket does not count. So at halftime, John Glenn is up by 13 on the 4th-ranked team in Indiana, and Craig Heatherly has Travis Hannah for a Bills Heating courtside report.
Coach, you've controlled the pace on both sides of the floor. What do you think? I mean, you held a high-powered offense, 12 points. What do you think about the defensive effort?
I thought our defense was really good. I thought we came out and surprised them a little bit in our zone. We were able to cover up their shooters. Biggest thing is we're able to rebound the basketball and control tempo, like you said. But unfortunately, we got 16 more minutes, so we got to do the same thing second half.
Yeah, you can imagine they're going to pick up the pressure on defense, try and speed you up. How are you guys going to conquer the chaos?
Well, we'll find out in 16 minutes, won't we, Craig?
Good luck, Coach. Back to you, Chuck.
Thank you very much, Craig. Stick around, folks. 2 terrific basketball players, 2 terrific student athletes. You'll meet them in our Tony Letcher Health Markets halftime report. 25-12, Glenn shocking Washington at the half on 46. Halftime here at the area in Walkerton. Time to meet our student athletes of the week. Feature brought to us by our friend Tony Letcher with Health Markets. 2 not only terrific scorers, but terrific students here with me now. Marcus Northern of South Bend, Washington, Bryson Hanna from John Glenn. You know, fellas, between the three of us, I think we've scored over 2,100 points in our careers. So that's pretty good. I've contributed, as usual, 0. But nevertheless, Marcus is on the cusp of scoring 1,000 points in his career. Also doing a great job in the classroom with a 3.3 GPA at Washington. How do you find the time to balance everything out?
Really just after school, I tend to go home and try to study. Sometimes I tend to work on my individual game a lot, but most of the time I go home and study.
This team is having a sensational season. You're 7-0. What's been the key for your success?
Just leadership and having teamwork. That's probably it.
And the leadership is something that you're trying to bring to this team. I know it hasn't always been easy for you. How has it helped you grow as a person?
Really just putting my voice out there. I'm just a quiet kid, really just trying to be vocal.
So as you go forward, obviously people have put these kind of values in you. Who has been such an influence on you to be such a good role model?
My mom, my dad, and my grandma. They just so much hard workers, and they really influenced me to work hard.
And what are you going to do after you graduate from Washington?
Really just probably take after my dad in the real estate business. That's probably it.
And looking to play a little hoop, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, that's Marcus Northern from South Bend, Washington. On this side, we have Bryson Hanna, the big fella from John Glenn. Yeah, you know him for basketball. He's scored over 1,100 points in his career, but going to Indiana Tech to play baseball and also doing a knockout job in the classroom. So 2 sports and doing the academics. Time management must be critical for you. How do you do it?
Just making sure I get it taken care of in school. You know, just focus on school during the day and then save sports for after. Just make sure everything gets done in the classroom first.
You've had the experience of playing for your dad for these last 4 years in basketball. What has that been like for you?
It's up and downs, but you know, for the most part, it's great. You know, having more insight than anyone else does, just because I get to talk to him all the time. But it definitely has its downs sometimes, just getting out of basketball sometimes. But it's not too bad.
Obviously, he's an influence on you. Who else has instilled the values in you?
All of my teammates, my teachers especially. I get along with most of my teachers. I feel like they're more friends than teachers. I talk to them about a lot more than just school. My friends, I talk to them all the time. They give me a lot of feedback on everything I do. I appreciate all of them.
I mentioned you're going to Indiana Tech to play baseball. What was it that influenced you to go there?
Just my love for the game. I mean, that's always been my first true love. I'm just glad I got the opportunity to continue doing that.
Now, they're going to ask you to go to class there, too. What are you going to study?
I'm going there to study psychology.
Very good. See, obviously working it already, making me ask questions that I normally wouldn't ask. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Appreciate
That's
it.
Bryson Hanna from John Glenn, Marcus Northern from South Bend, Washington. Our Tony Letcher Health Market Student Athletes of the Week. Stick around. Halftime highlights and stats come your way next. You're watching the TV46 High School Basketball Game of the Week. Halftime inside TCU Gym at the Airy with the score John Glenn 25, South Bend, Washington 12. Welcome inside the Martin Supermarket broadcast booth. High above the fray, Chuck Freeby and Bo Hunt with you at the intermission. And I don't know that any coach would say that they played a perfect first half. After all, John Glenn missed 2 shots. But that's about as close to perfect execution as you could get from Travis Hanna's team.
Well, I think the biggest part is them being 1-4 coming to this game against the number 4 ranked team in the state. Is coming in here and doubling them up in the first half and holding a team that scores almost 70 a game with 12 points in the first half. Just a fantastic job. And they had a lot of guys step up. 6 guys in the scoring book for Glenn.
Let's show you how it got to be this way inside TCU Gym. Washington fired the first salvo with a steal and score by Terrence Reed. But then Joe Schrapp-Louis got loose underneath for 2 to tie it up. Washington would take one more lead on a Marcus Northern 3, and then Bryson Hanna started to have his way inside as the big fella collected 6 in the first quarter. Ty Larkin with a little floater here. Glenn had the lead after 1. In fact, they were doubling up Washington. Then Chase Miller starts to stroke a 3. Washington had to respond, and they did with Eric Nocentelli dialing long distance. And then they would get another bucket in transition here as Marcus Northern hit the pull-up jumper. But after that, it was all John Glenn. Noah Dreibelbis came off the bench in the second quarter with 4 points. And Bryson Hanna would score 2 more on the hook shot as the Falcons lead at 25-12, shooting an amazing 86%. But every rebound that comes down at the other end goes into John Glenn's hands, too.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things on the defensive end is they did a great job of boxing out and not giving Washington any second or third chance opportunity to score any buckets.
So the question is, can the Falcons hang on for the last 16 minutes and score one of the most stunning upsets in the state this year? Or can Washington find its mojo and stay unbeaten on the season? We'll find out. The second half comes your way next. You're watching the TV 46 High School Basketball Game of the Week. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you in part by Imagineering Finishing Technologies. IFT, where quality is a way of life. Well, we heard from Travis Hanna already on his way into the locker room. Well, Ryan Varga talked to Craig Heatherly on his way out, so let's go to Craig for a Bills Heating courtside report. What did the Washington coach have to say?
Yeah, he's got some ways that he wants to make some adjustments offensively against their zone in the half court, but he's going to speed this thing up. He needs to get this thing up and down, wants to turn this game into a track meet. So we'll see what he does defensively to try and get John Glenn out of their comfort zone.
And then we'll have to see how Travis Hanna responds to that. The good news for him, he's got a 13-point cushion to start the quarter with.
Yeah, and a lot of that starts with that pressure because they're used to the pressure. There's the full court pressure that they have, turning into turnovers, really picking up that pace. But Glenn's actually just settled that down a little bit and take it nice and easy and not trying to force it up the floor.
Meanwhile, Washington had some good looks, just couldn't get them to drop. Will it be differently at this end? Good extra pass by Reynolds there, and a foul is called on Joey Shue. That'll send Washington to the line for the first time tonight. You get another look on the 46 Sports replay. Reynolds passing up the shot, that was the best thing he could do right there.
Yeah, it was just a great job of getting the ball inside.
Terrence Reed finds the bank open in Washington on a Friday night as he puts the free throw home. He is a 50% foul shooter. And he knocks them both down there. Here comes the pressure from Washington. Notice Glenn ran Hanna, their biggest guy, into the backcourt there to help with it. They might have to hurry here, and they beat the 10-second. And Shrapuli travels.
Hey, wouldn't it be great to work for a company where the employees are the most valuable asset? Well, now's your chance because Rescore is hiring. They have production positions available in a team-driven environment with excellent benefits that include medical, dental, and a 401k. To learn more about joining the Rescore family and a $1,000 sign-on bonus, visit rescore.com.
Reynolds misses on the three, and the ball kicked out of bounds by Terrence Reed. It'll be going to John Glenn. Steven Reynolds came in a 39% three-point shooter, but he has yet to score tonight. Hanna double-teamed in the backcourt and is fouled by Terrence Reed. First foul on Reed, first on the team in the second half.
Kind of went with a surprise trap on that one. They were looking like trying to disguise it a little bit.
Hanna, a veteran player. He handled himself like that time, going up, getting the ball, calmly making the pass. Shraplui, cross court to Miller. He might have got away with a bunny hop there. Miller down low to Hanna. Turns, scores. Hanna now with 10.
Grundy trying to get the charge called on Hanna, trying to get him in foul trouble.
Reynolds misses again. Been a tough night for the freshman. Miller outside. Hanna still trying to get position on the block. Shue. Now it's Hanna down low, up strong, two more. He gets the ball on the block. and that is just get out the printing press because you're churning out money. Northern at the other end is offline. Gets his own rebound, puts it up, no good. Another foul, this time is on Hannah. Washington just cannot buy a bucket. I mean, Northern with good looks. He's a good shooter. Larkin might have gotten away with a foul there, but eventually one was called on Hannah. And Northern, the 72% free throw shooter, hits the first.
Yeah, exactly what Washington wants, to get to the line, and also with the foul, Hannah picking up his first foul. It's one thing I've noticed, they're really trying to go at him as well.
Northern now with 964 career points. Larkin gets it across, but stopped the dribble and needs help. Timeout. Travis Hannah will take one here. 5:47 to go in the third quarter. Glenn trying to protect its lead at 29-16 on 46. #46 Game of the Week being brought to you by HealthLink, your community health center. Time now to ask our TCU trivia question. We want to know, who is John Glenn's all-time leading scorer? We'll have the answer for you in a little bit.
Well, we saw Jason Groves just on Tuesday night for the Falcons, played in this gym. I get a chance to play against him. I know he scored quite a bit, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't him.
Wasn't him. It's not Hannah, although it might seem that way to some of the Washington faithful tonight. Falcons with the ball, looking to inbound. Larkin comes to the left side and throws it away.
The John Glenn Athletic Department wishes the Falcons basketball team a great game. The Glenn basketball team is full of players and coaches that embody integrity and perseverance, and the athletic department school would like to wish all the John Glenn athletes success in the new year, both in the classroom, on the court, and remember, once a Falcon, always a Falcon.
Marcus Northern just inside the arc, and look at that rattle out. My goodness.
Not only rattled out, but you see there was 3 John Glenn players boxed out, and that ball could have fell to the floor on that rebound.
Larkin outside, Terrence Reed right in his face. Grundy knocks the ball away and out of bounds. The Falcons have won 4 straight against South Bend, Washington. But that was when they had guys like Silas Kaiser and Jack Porter on the team. Those guys are gone. It's been a struggle for Glenn this year, 1-4. You wouldn't know it tonight.
No, just the way they're playing tonight defensively, and Washington's not shooting the ball very well tonight as well. Just 3 guys in the scoring column right now for Washington with Northern, Nocentelli, and Reed.
Look at Shu go backdoor for 2. Off a great feed from Bryson Hannah. Reed, spinning move. Hannah blocks the shot, and here comes Glenn the other way, up by 15. Not sure a whole lot of folks around Northern Indiana expected this tonight. That is the fun of high school basketball, folks.
Yeah, you look at the teams like this, when you look at Glenn, and even Travis says, you know, our 1-4 record doesn't dictate how we are. We're a good team, and you can see that tonight. I mean, they're playing well.
They've been working with a mental coach. Larkin is fouled by Terrence Reed. That's the second on Reed. And Ryan Varga will go to his bench. Devin DeBriesinger, Richie will check back in. But the Falcons have been working with a mental coach, and when I got here tonight, they were warming up wearing these T-shirts. On the back of the T-shirt, it said DMGB. I said to Travis, I actually said to Bryson Hannah, what's this all about? And he says, doesn't matter, get better. And that's the way they've approached this 1-4 record, as Hannah is fouled on the way up and will go to the line for 2. You get another look on the 46 Sports replay.
Yeah, just a great job of handling that ball right there. But I really like that emblem that they have on there, DMGB, doesn't matter, get better. You know, you can have all the excuses in the world, and everything can not go in your way, but they really don't matter. Get better. Go out there, do the work, get better.
There you see the story on Bryson Hanna, now 4th on the all-time scoring list, passing Toby Gardner. But he missed both free throws there. Washington, though, throws it away. Dreibelbis with the steal, and Travis Hanna says, take your time, fellas. And just to reiterate a point you've made a couple times tonight, Bo, this is a Washington team that averages 74 points a game. We're past the midway point of the third quarter, and they have 16. Part of that, as you mentioned, poor shooting. Part of it, outstanding execution of the game plan by John Glenn. Here's Larkin, had it knocked away and out of bounds, but Glenn retains it.
Yeah, they're just the ball control that Glenn's been able to do tonight, really handle the ball in the half court and just keep the possession going and going and going until they get that good shot has been critical for them tonight.
Hanna soared to get the pass, couldn't get the shot to go though, and Northern collects a defensive rebound. Those have been few and far between for Washington. Nocentelli for 3, back iron, and look at another one and done as Shu gets the ricochet.
Joey Shu's been a beast on the boards tonight too. Him and Hanna on the inside has just been dominating that defensive side of the ball.
Northern with the steal and the score. Marcus Northern now with 9. And I'm not sure what the violation was, although I saw the official talking to Jarrell Ritchie. Delay of game warning.
After the basket, I think they knocked the ball out so they could get their defensive set up, their press set up a little bit.
Shrap Louie will check in for Ty Larkin. Glenn still up by 13. Shu needs some help in the backcourt. Finds Hanna. They need to hurry to beat the 10-second mark, and Hanna just did, but he lost the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, it took just a little bit too much time there, and exactly what Washington needs. They need a couple turnovers back-to-back and hit a couple big threes to get back into this.
Well, they're trying to give Larkin a breather over here on the bench. That's their point guard. And now can they survive without him for a couple of minutes while he catches his breath? Reynolds for 3, got it. The first of the night for Stephen Reynolds, his 20th of the season. We're down to a 10-point game. Chase Miller lost the handle, foul is called late. And Ryan Varga is upset in front of the Washington bench.
Yeah, the first time Miller actually drove to the hoop, he saw the open lane. He's had that lane all night, but he hasn't been driving it because he's been kind of staying back and letting the clock run a little bit there. Got a little anxious, was able to pick up the foul.
Miller's only been to the foul line twice this year. Hit them both. He's now 3 for 3 on the season. 6 points for the junior, averaging 8 a game. 3-sport athlete here at Glenn. 5'10" junior. Got them both. Glenn lead back to 12. Northern to Nocentelli. Washington can shoot the 3. They can get themselves back in this game in a hurry. Looking for open slots against this 3-2 zone. Reynolds going baseline, shut off. And the pass to Northern is collected by Glenn. Miller to Shrap Louie. Now Shu dumps it down for Hanna, and Hanna is fouled on the way up by Reynolds. So while they sort this out, it gives us a chance to answer our TCU trivia question. John Glenn's all-time leading scorer passed away not too long ago. Bruce Dayhuff, back in 1973, before there was a three-point line, scored 1,902 points in his Falcon career.
Not too shabby.
Hanna missed his last 2 at the line. Hits this one. 13 now for Bryson, who has 1,168 points in his career now. He'll get another. He had a double-double earlier this year in the overtime loss to Riley. Young man committed to Indiana Tech for baseball, misses. The lead at 13, ball knocked away, and Washington will retrieve it. Reynolds for 3, wouldn't go. DeVries missed on the dunk attempt. Northern for 2. And a timeout called by Washington. We'll take it as well. 1:02 to go, third quarter. Glenn on top of the Panthers, 34-23 on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you in part by TCU. Discover better banking at TCU. Reminder, we've got one more game for you in 2022 as we go over to the Madhouse called McEwen on Tuesday night in Dunlap. An interstate game. We've never done one of these before. Edwardsburg and Concord. We'll show it to you Wednesday night at 9 and Thursday afternoon at 2 in our 2022 farewell on 46. Eddies were 3-1 going into a battle at Otsego tonight. And Concord's got a pair of games on the weekend. Derek Deshawn with a young team over there, but they knocked off St. Joe earlier this season.
Yeah, Deshawn doing a great job over there, really developing this young team as well. And Edwardsburg, we've done them in the past. They've always had a really good team year in and year out in basketball.
Hanna goes cross court. Miller with a good grab. Now Dreibelbis, and he is fouled by Jarrell Ritchie, his second. So Noah Dreibelbis, a 67% foul shooter, will go to the line.
Just did a good job of really getting the ball down to Dreibelbis and him doing a good job of going up and not directly up, but kind of going up and around to the other side.
5 points for Noah tonight off the bench as you look at Ryan Varga, young man who played for Joe Huppenthal at Clay. He's the nephew of Clay coach Tom DeBates, the legendary state championship coach. Final minute of quarter number 3, and the Glen lead still at 13.
For how much better Washington seemed to play in this half and this quarter, to Glen still contain that 13-point lead is just amazing.
Washington just has not been able to string stops and possessions together, and they continue to be cold from the shooting. Glen with one last chance here in the third. Dreibelbis is fouled by Marcus Northern, his third.
Yeah, big foul by Northern, picking up his third there when he didn't have to. 6th foul. That's going to be the 7th foul on Washington. They'll be 1-1 the rest of the way.
And Glen will put Carson Kruger in the game to give Bryson Hanna a little extra breather on the timeout here at the quarter. Meanwhile, Dreibelbis, who just drained a pair at the line, goes back there. Noah, good offensive rebounder, takes charge as well. 7 points here tonight. He's had 2 games in double figures this year, including a season-high 13 against Clay. Glen by 15. Northern at the other end. Can't get it to go, and the quarter comes to an end. And man, what a night here in Walkerton for the Hanna family. Big Bryson is scoring down low. Daddy Travis loves it on the sidelines. Marcus Northern trying to keep the 4th-ranked team in the state from getting its first loss. But they're in danger now, down 15 as we go to the 4th on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you by the electrical workers of Local 153, making our community brighter since 1914. Before we go to Craig Heatherly with the Bills Heating Courtside Report, just want to tell people, the 4 teams that beat Glen this season, all 500 or better. The seasoning that they have experienced so far seeming to pay dividends tonight, Craig.
Yeah, you're right. This game comes down to one of the hardest things to coach, and that's shot selection. and that's winning out right now for John Glenn. Each possession, they're working the ball back and forth, averaging probably over 8 passes per possession. Washington, on the other hand, they're taking anywhere from 0 to 1 to 2 passes before they shoot. It's just hard to win a game that way, Chuck, especially when John Glenn's controlling the tempo like they are.
And I would imagine now, to a certain extent, Bo, Washington can't afford to just become more patient all of a sudden because the clock is a factor as well.
No, they're going to have 1-2 passes and put the threes up, but the pressure on defense is going to have to step up. They're going to have to really play better defense and get their hands in their face as well.
Glenn's done a good job, I think, of, since the first quarter, limiting those turnovers.
Yeah.
They had 5 in the first quarter. They probably had 5 the rest of the game.
A lot of it was they eliminated those cross-court passes, and they stuck to just kind of throwing the passes where they needed to, and guys coming to the ball as well, rather than sitting and waiting for the ball.
Now, I'll tell you what, young man Ty Larkin, number 12, only has 4 points tonight, but he's done a pretty good job of handling this Washington pressure.
Well, not only that, with a little bit of a hurt ankle there at the end of the quarter.
And burst to the bucket, they couldn't finish. Northern all the way, couldn't get it to go. And no call for the contact. A lot of bumping and chugging here. Larkin's going to have to hurry, and did. Oh, the cross-court pass was dangerous, but Shrap Louis got it. Hanna couldn't hit the first time, and then is fouled the second. And Bryson Hanna will go back to the line, where he's had a little bit of a struggle tonight, 1 for 4 at the stripe.
A little dangerous on that cross-court pass, but Shrap Louis did a great job of bringing that inside, dumping it down to Hanna. And again, Hanna with the body control, able to go up strong.
And Hanna knocks that one down. Bryson now with 14. Ryan Varga trying to check to see how many timeouts he has left. Scoreboard has him for 3. Northern, ooh, he had Reed underneath, didn't see him. Instead, Reynolds, a deep 3 that won't go. And the rebound comes down to Shu. Larkin with Nocentelli behind him. And a timeout called by Travis Hanna. We'll take one as well. 6:28 to go in the fourth, and Glenn up 39-23 on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you in part by the Indiana High School Athletic Association, partnering with TV46 for over 30 years.
Hey, wouldn't it be great to work for a company where their employees are the most valuable asset? Well, now it's your chance because Rescore is hiring. They have production positions available in a team-driven environment with excellent benefits that include medical, dental, and a 401k. To learn more about joining the Rescore family and the $1,000 sign-on bonus, visit rescore.com. That's RESCHCOR.com.
You made the point off air before the game. You were looking to our right at this John Glenn student section. You would never know this team that they're supporting is 1-4. They came out in big numbers tonight and have made a lot of noise inside TCU gym at the area tonight.
Yeah, you see that a lot of times at smaller schools. And, you know, Glenn is a 3A school as well, but the community support that we see over here at Glenn when we come over is just fantastic. And the student body to come out tonight on a Friday night, snowy out, a little icy out, to support their team is just amazing.
Bryson Hanna on the drive. I knew I was going to do that at least once tonight. Here's Chase Miller, and Reynolds reached across him to foul him.
19 foul.
Now, Glenn has been a little flawed here at the foul line tonight, but Washington has not been able to take advantage.
Now, Miller and Dreibelbis have been pretty money on the free throw line tonight. It's Hanna's that actually surprisingly hasn't hit very many tonight.
Yeah, that combo of Miller and Dreibelbis is now 7 out of 7, as Jarrell Ritchie will check back in for Stephen Reynolds. Washington playing without the injured Jason Dockery tonight. The 6'3 senior has a injury to his leg. 40-23 in favor of John Glenn. An amazing defensive performance. And now there's a problem with the clock on the scoreboard. And so the officials will have to go over and talk to the scoreboard operator, who says, I'm pressing the button and nothing's, there it goes. So now the officials will have to talk about it. While they do, a reminder, we've got college basketball coming up on Pulse FM 103.1 on Saturday. What a dandy doubleheader this is. Number 14 Indiana goes into Allen Fieldhouse to take on Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks at noon. And then at 6:15, the number 1 team in the land, the Purdue Boilermakers, go down to Indianapolis Gainbridge Fieldhouse and take on Davidson. It's a battle of the Lowry brothers in that one. You can hear it all on 103.1 FM. Terrence Reed goes down low, and the shot is blocked by Joey Shue, who's been amazing tonight down low.
You know, Joey Shue only 4 points tonight, but what he's done outside of that has just been amazing. His rebounds, his blocks, his presence on the inside, his ability to handle the ball as well, and his pressure has just been fantastic.
This has been a great team effort by John Glenn tonight. Every player out there has made some sort of contribution. And they've only really gone about 6 deep. Hannah lobbed it a little too high for Drivabus.
Yeah, it's one thing we talked about before the game, you know, is who's going to step up for this Glenn team. You know Hannah, you know he's been there. They lost a lot of seniors last year, lost a lot of leadership. Who was going to be the guys that step up and fill those roles? And I think tonight might be their turning point in the season.
You look at Travis Hannah's face, though, after a turnover, you would think they were down 17, not up 17 right now. Fadeaway jumper is no good by Jarrell Ritchie. And Ryan Varga looking for answers. Larkin lobs it across to Drivabus. Larkin has it poked away from behind by Grundy. Ahead to Northern, Marcus for 2 more. He has 13 to lead the Panthers. Washington still in striking distance with their 3-point shooting, but Hannah is tripped from behind.
I think that might be Northern. That's Northern's 4th. Picking up 4 fouls, leading the Panthers with, they're going, oh, that's his 5th.
That is his 5th.
I missed one on that. Wow. That's a big hit to the Panthers tonight.
So Marcus Northern fouls out of this game with 13 points with 4:29 left. And somebody, if Washington is not going to be upset tonight, has to find a way to step up for the Panthers.
Well, they're going to have to win it at the free throw line as well. Hannah's going to have to knock down these as he just did, because they're in the double bonus at this point for the rest of the game.
So every free throw the rest of the way, 2 shots for John Glenn. Meanwhile, the Falcons have only been called for 2 fouls here in the second half.
I actually have them for 3 total for the game.
That looks accurate, yes. I'm sure that may be brought up in some post-game discussions. Nocentelli misses, as does Terrence Reed. Hannah with another rebound. But it's as simple as shots going down for one team and shots not going down for another tonight. And Washington has had some really good looks. They've also forced some really bad shots.
Yeah, and you just look at the possession that Glenn has had, the time of possession in their hands.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Shrap Louis and Terrence Reed got tangled up there.
Yeah, it looks like Reed stole the ball from him or had it partially out of the hands. They're going to call Shrap Louis on the foul, which is what should have been called. And
it's only his 4th, and Terrence Reed has decided to go without the mask that he was wearing here for the rest of the time. I don't know if Shrap Louis' hand got caught in the mask. whatever it was, they got tangled up, and it looked very unpleasant for Reed. Reed into the corner now. The shot on the way and good. That's a three for Jarrell Williams, who just came into the game. The 5'10 senior with just his second three-pointer of the season cut the lead to 14.
Engineering Finishing Technologies brand is globally known as a knowledge source for metal finishing. Like the teams in this game, Imagineering is always working toward a great finish. IFT is a proud supporter of all student athletes in the Michiana area.
We mentioned the pedigree of Ryan Varga. The one that always gets people the most is the fact that he is the nephew of Clay State Championship coach Tom DeBates. And of course, Tom won that state championship back before class basketball started, the last single class championship for a South Bend school. So he's a rather revered figure and frequently comes to these games, and Ryan solicits advice from him and counsel, and you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, that's for sure. And as a coach, you're always looking for input from guys in the past, some of your mentors, some of your past coaches. Regardless if you have a new age approach or anything like that, you always still look back and try to learn some of that past stuff and advance it even further.
So Glenn with the basketball, ahead by 14 with 3:38 to go. Falcons looking for the biggest upset in the area so far this season. Bryson Hanna lost it off his knee. They're not going to beat the 10-second clock, I don't think. Well, they did. Shrap Louis. It must have been about 9.95 when they got it across.
Yeah, I can see Travis Hanna over there calling for a timeout the whole time. Nobody saw him because nobody was in that area.
Now Glenn trying to be very patient here. Shrap Louis with the drive and a layup for two. 4 for Joe Shrap Louis, well below his average, but he won't care if they walk out of here with a win. Gabriel Bergen on the baseline is off mark, and a foul on the rebound called on Shrap Louis. That's his second, team's fourth.
Still have time for Washington. They've got to knock down some threes, and they have to have some stops, but time's running out at this point.
Another factor that some people may have overlooked in this game is the dominance that John Glenn has had on the rebounds tonight. And there's another one for him. The foul called on Jarrell Williams, and it'll send Glenn back to the line. When you look at the facial expressions of the Washington players right now, and I think they're stunned.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, but and you look at the guys in Glenn, and you just look at how beat they are and how tired they are, and they're still going at it. Travis, I did it there too, Bryson, sat for 4 seconds right before the quarter. That last quarter is the only time he sat this game. You can see him just beat out there, but they know that they put in the work to be conditioned for this game.
This with 10 off the bench tonight. That's been huge as well. Nocentelli, jump stop. Reynolds for three. Nothing dropping for the Panthers tonight. And the ball out of bounds to Glenn. Miller in trouble in the backcourt. He's fouled by Terrence Reed. The Washington players feel like they've had a lot of fouls called on them that have not gone the other way.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. I haven't seen really anything extraordinary, you know, from one side or the other. I think Washington's been the more physical, more aggressive team, and so your tendency is to get fouls called on you because of that.
Chase Miller at the line, floats home the first. Miller now with 9. He had 13 in the win over Elkhart earlier this season. 5'10" junior has been learning his role and learned it well. Timeout called by John Glenn. Will take it as well. 2:18 to go. Glenn by 20 on 46. This edition of the 46 Game of the Week being brought to you by Crown Trophy. They're nationally known and locally owned. Let's get into Craig Heatherly courtside report. Partner, I want to ask you, we talked at the beginning of the game about how to control the tempo. Glenn has done it masterfully tonight. Other than hitting shots, is there anything Washington could have done differently? Or is it just as simple as the fact that they haven't hit shots?
You know, I think you take a look at the type of shots that you're getting offensively against a zone like that. They didn't get a lot of easy attempts early. And as the game got away from them a little bit, you could tell that each guy individually they were pressing a little bit, looking for a 10-point shot, Chuck, versus a 2 or 3-point shot. So they turned into more individual plays versus team plays. I think they'll look back on the film, wish they would have made that adjustment earlier, but when John Glenn works it around the court like that, it's tough to defend.
And a charge called on Nocentelli as he runs over Bryson Hanna.
No, this is a great job of Hanna getting over there, getting his feet set. You see him slide over. He's got the position right there all day.
Nocentelli might have thought, well, there's no way I could knock that big guy down. Oh, but Nocentelli gets his revenge with the steal. Wouldn't go, though, and he'll go to the line for 2.
Well, things just not going Washington's way. Just an easy bucket and 1 on that play. And Nocentelli wasn't able to actually get that knocked down. I mean, it rolled around that whole rim.
Eric is only a 44% free throw shooter, which is ironic because he came into the game as a 50% three-point shooter. We'll see if he can knock both of these down here. 6-foot senior transfer from Elkhart. Hit them both. But we've got a whistle and a lane violation on Washington. It appears that it was. So 48-29 the score. And now John Glenn content to run time with a minute 42 left.
They're going to try to make him come out. Run the old typical 4 corners, even though it's not quite a 4 corners anymore nowadays.
What an amazing performance by the Falcons tonight. 1 and 4 coming in here. $19-point lead for Glenn as you take a look at Joe Schrapp-Louis trying to get open and does. Dumps it down for Hanna. He just backs down Nocentelli and puts it in. And Bryson Hanna with 18, more than likely having a conversation with Mr. Heatherly in a couple of minutes as Williams misses the 3. Nocentelli misses the layup. He'll try again and score.
Yeah, talking about Bryson and the performance he's done tonight, and talked about him last few years as well, but it can't go without saying that Joey Shue, the performance he had, Chase Miller, Dribble Biss, Schrapp-Louis, Larkin, I mean, just every guy played a role tonight in this win against this team.
You could talk to every kid that played tonight for John Glenn and have something to talk to them about regarding their contribution tonight.
Yeah, their contribution to winning this game. Without this, you're probably not winning this game. And every single one of the players that we just named had a key factor in that game.
And Schrapp-Louis and Shue have really been good on the boards. Schrapp-Louis hitting free throws, as Miller and Dreibelbiss have. And this will create some ripples around the NIC and the state, with Glenn upsetting Washington tonight, playing tremendous defense,
And I haven't looked ahead. I cannot remember sectional-wise. I know these two have been in the sectionals before.
They're not in the same sectional anymore.
Opposite sectionals now.
Schrap-Louis with a great catch there. And Glenn just trying to dribble out the clock. Up by 21. The student section waving goodbye to the Panthers as John Glenn has pulled off the upset. They've knocked off the number 4 team in Class 3A, and they did it 52-31. A lot to talk about on our St. Joe County Police Department post-game show with our electrifying play of the game and our player of the game. And it all comes your way next on the 46 Game of the Week.
Thanks for watching the WHME TV 46 High School Basketball Game of the Week, brought to you by
What an impressive performance by the John Glenn Falcons for just their second win of the year as they knock off the 4th-ranked team in Class 3A, the South Bend Washington Panthers. And they not only knock them off, they beat them by 21. Welcome inside the Martin Supermarket broadcast booth. Chuck Freeby and Bo Hunt high above the fray. I will be perfectly honest. If you had told me tonight I was going to see a 21-point game, I would have thought, wow, Washington's really good.
Yeah, they came out. They just didn't shoot very well. They're a very good team. But I tell you what, the ability for Glenn to come together as a full team tonight shows you what their potential is.
Well, that 3-2 zone that Travis Hanna used, and I know it goes against his very nature, but it was a very smart move because for whatever reason, a team like Washington that has been shooting 40% from three-point range this year just couldn't buy a bucket in this gym tonight. The other thing is John Glenn ran its offense, and when their offense is clicking, they get the ball down on the block to big old number 14. He had 18 points tonight. Bryson Hanna is standing by now with Craig Heatherly.
All right, I'm here with the player of the game, Bryson. Hey, your senior year, you just upset the number 4 team in the state. How does it feel?
It feels pretty great, especially since that's just our second one of the season, but I feel like we really came together today as a team. I feel like we really stuck to the game plan and executed on all cylinders.
It was an incredible game plan. Nobody would have known that you guys were 1-4. You guys came together more than the other team. What's that say about your culture?
We're just a group of guys playing basketball. I mean, that's all. We just have fun. Like that's all us and our guys do. Just have fun. And that's what we're all about.
As a senior, all you want to do is win. What does a game like this do for your season?
It definitely gives us that push. We definitely had a good win from Elkhart, starting well, and today we just played all the way through. Great. So I think that's a great stepping stone for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Congratulations on a fantastic game. Get in that locker room and go celebrate with your guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bryson Hanna is not here for your culture discussions tonight.
You know, he came out and he just talked about playing with a bunch of guys, and that's what they felt like tonight. The pressure was off them tonight, I felt. They just came out, they played relaxed, and they played their game.
Meanwhile, the electrifying play of the game provided by one of Bryson's teammates, Chase Miller. Travis Hanna said one of the keys was being able to meet the press. On this play, they beat the press for a nice layup.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things with Chase Miller, he's not only was the electrifying play, he might have been one of the electrifying players of the game because he really electrified this offense and really got them going that you weren't quite expecting, you know, the 10, 11 points that he put up tonight.
3 guys in double figures for John Glenn tonight. Washington only had 1, and Marcus Northern fouled out with 4:39 left.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big factor. But Washington not being able to hit the three-point shot early and often, I think, really affected them. Craig talked about it as well, is it kind of forced some shot. They were trying to hit 5- and 10-point shots to try to get back in the game, and they don't exist.
Washington goes to Calumet tomorrow night. John Glenn has to just recover from the victory and get ready for LaVille on Saturday night as well. Our thanks to our TV 46 crew who helped bring you this one, led by our production manager, Dean Korsmo, and his talented crew of men that work hard each and every week to bring you high school basketball. Reminder, college basketball on the radio tomorrow on 103.1 FM at noon. Number 14, Indiana, takes on number 8, Kansas. At 6:15, it's Davidson playing Purdue down at Cambridge Fieldhouse. And don't forget our last high school broadcast of 2022 comes your way Wednesday night at 9 and Thursday afternoon at 2 when the Edwardsburg Eddies visit the Concord Minutemen. Now for my broadcast partner, the Hall of Famer Bo Hunt, and for Craig Heatherly, courtside, it's Chuck Freebie. Once again, the final, John Glenn 52, South Bend, Washington 31. So long from Wild Walkerton.